All right. Do you want me to read the questions again?
Yep, you got it.
Oh God, I don't even know how to pronounce it now. Do you think how does it Humanities?
Good enough.
All right, Humanities contains a strong endorsement for the jury process. What's the argument for it?
Um, I'll start off. I said that I think that it does contain a strong endorsement for the jury process. I said like specifically against the old tradition of unforgiving justice. I have that in quotation, so I must have heard it from somewhere. Because I said like the argument for it was the fact that for me, like the fact that Athena or the goddess of wisdom herself is who introduced the process. Yeah.
Um, I said that I I think that reading it now, like looking back on when it was written, it shows how far the jury process has come. I never really saw like a strong endorsement in the story because I thought that the contradiction, or not really, the conflict rather, was kind of like him signaling that there were issues with it. Um, and I also thought today that it seems kind of incomprehensible how the jury saved him after killing his mother, because that we wouldn't see that even if we did consider it as justified.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Because like, yeah, in today's it's really hard for someone who like murders someone to get away with it. Like they're gonna see like some sort of like justice with it, but I mean, like that compared to like if there was one like law like and it says if you did this, like then that's your punishment. Like we don't have that anymore. There's actually like room for interpretation and like so that like I don't know, people can like understand the circumstances of the situation.
Yeah, the whole thing I took away from it was that it adds like a lot of nuance and exceptions into the laws. So like if you do something and you have a really good reason for it, even if it's illegal, the jury could find you innocent rather than like how the Furies were trying to just kill him, get it over with, like he killed his mom.
Yeah, in this Greek tragedy, I said no, there wasn't a strong endorsement of the jury process, especially in the historical sense. I think Eumenides is meant to be the first time Athens actually heard a jury case. And since the jury was summoned by Athena and Orestes was represented by Apollo, um, the favor was already in Orestes' favor because he committed murder on divine command. So, regardless of human law, even if that it was a jury trial, the Greeks are still going to honor divine command.
So are we on to the next one?
Yeah, I was
All
trying
right.
to.
Okay, so in the play, why don't we just punish Orestes as justice or the Furies demand? And what does this suggest about connections between divine law and human law?
I think because he admits his guilt and he suffered the harassment of the Furies, his act was commanded by divine authority, and because ancient Greeks are highly religious, essentially the number one rule in Greek religion is don't mess with the gods or their commands. But in the play, the jury knows this, which is why they tie the vote. They listen to Apollo tell Athena what he commanded of Orestes. In that, Orestes has Apollo's protection by the law of suppliance, and that he was cleansed of murder, and that the reason he's there to say that he is responsible for the murder is because he did, in fact, command Orestes to do the deed. So I think there's absolutely no connection between the divine law and human law.
Yeah, I mean, listening to you describe it like that, it's not exactly how I wrote my response, but I think that's kind of what I was getting at. I was kind of confused about what the connection might be. I just what I said was like that it suggests that in human law, like even though we do have guidelines and for the most part we follow them pretty strictly, there is room for interpretation, which is added by A, having a justice or a judge, and then B, also giving power to a jury to make a decision. Um, but whereas like in divine law, it seems like pretty straightforward, like there isn't really any interpretation.
Yeah, I mean, like it's kind of like the last question too, because it's just like going back, like no one situation is the same. So to expect like every punishment for every crime to be the same would be wrong, I guess. Like, and like if we're looking at like the true justice, like that would be wrong because you're not like giving them the justice they actually deserved. So I guess I thought that's kind of like what Athena was trying to accomplish. Um, because like I like in the beginning, like she didn't really seem like she wanted to let like or Orsi's like get away with it, but she wanted to like bring the jury in so that there was like I don't just like people to actually interpret the situation and like what what to what to punish him or not punish him with.
Yeah, yeah. I guess because I said it was hard for me to find a connection too. I just feel like I said there was a connection, but I don't know. Listening to different opinions kind of, I don't know if I agree with what I said, but like, I mean, I agree with it, but okay, so I said that the connection was basically what Clayton said, that like, let me see. Sorry. Yeah, when we incorporate human law with divine law, or like when we rely more on human law, like we've been saying, we can see the complexities behind like what's going on and figure out, why somebody did this, instead of, yeah, I'm just repeating everything, treating it like black and white, like the divine law said.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything to add. I think you guys covered pretty much all of it.
This is good. We agreed. All
On
right.
to the next one.
So in Herodotus, we see arguments for isonomy, oligarchy, and monarchy. Outline one of those cases.
Um, I looked at the case made for a monarchy, and like it's pretty straightforward and obvious. Like if you concentrate power in the hand of one person, it's super easy to get things done. And if you have a good person in that position, then everything will be fine. There's no workarounds for anything. There's no building consensus. And then another thing that they said, which I guess is open for discussion, but they pointed out that every right that they had experienced to that point in time had been given to them by one leader, like one person. So they said that that was a benefit as well.
I looked into the oligarchy, and their reasoning to advocate for an oligarchy was that in a monarchy, if you place too much power into one single person's hands, it can be pretty corrupt very easily because it's all in one person that is still a human. And then the problem with the isonomy was that it was too many people and it was too spread out and it could very easily be swayed. So it's kind of the in between where it would just be a small collective of people that are kind of higher educated that would be in power so that they can know what the best course of action is.
I looked at isonomy, and it kind of it focused on like or whatever the concept that absolute power corrupts absolutely. So by making everybody like have equal access or equal power or whatever, you like avoid the chance for there to be any type of corruption or any like one self-serving leader or one self-serving group. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. The first speaker, Otanis, protested Persia should become democratic because he explained that it had the finest of all names and that equality before the law was granted for all the people. And second of all, people in power do none of the things monarchs do. Otanis further explained that under a government of the people, a magistrate is appointed by the majority, and he even goes further and says that the majority even holds the magistrate that was elected accountable for his actions and conduct while in office, and all questions are put up for debate. Because of these reasons, Otanis says, I propose that we do away with the monarchy and raise the people to power, for the state and the people are on synonymous terms, so that the people in the state would be the same.
And then just the last one, it just asks for like objections to the three.
I kind of said it in my first thing, but oh wait. Oh, never mind. I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing. Sorry. Okay, so I talked about an objection to oligarchy, and I said it's presented on the basis of questioning. Oh yeah, the basis of like questioning the assumption that a group of people are going to be less susceptible to being self-serving than one person. And the objection was that when a group of people share power, there's going to be a competition for that power.
I covered the objection to isonomy, which, they say that it leads to an uninformed populace having the ability to make important life-altering decisions. And, I think that the response to that really is just like, yeah, I mean, you're right. We're all living through it right now, maybe more than ever. But I think that the counter argument to that is, you have to take the good with the bad. And while sometimes things are pretty terrible, like the thing that we all hold on to the most is like the hope of it all, right? When it's working well, I mean, things are great. Probably the best that they could be out of these three options. And so, like, like I said, you just have to go with it. I think it's part of the reason why we've been so successful in spreading it around the world. Just the prospect of it all.
Oh, you touched first on um, how you related to monarchy in the question before this one. Um, the third man to speak, Darius, which became the next emperor, tells his audience to take the three governments that they are proposing and assume each of them are the best kind. And he also suggests that in a democracy, malpractices are bound to occur and that corruption is inevitable. And he says that those who are in power must work together towards mutual support of each other. If they don't, rival factions develop and confrontations occur until someone comes forward as the people's champion who breaks up the cliques and the factions who are only out for their own interests and will obtain power through mob rule. Darius successfully makes the rest of the seven noblemen worry about their power, wealth, and prestige. And he also reminds them who freed the people of the Persian Empire in the first place, like you said in the question before this one. Emperor Cyrus the Great. Um, his argument is essentially a good emperor created the Persian Empire by casting off the yoke of slavery, which is basically what Darius is saying, that a good king will be better than a whole bunch of people trying to work together and solve one issue when one person can just solve it automatically.
Caitlin, do you have anything to say?
Honestly, I didn't get to watch the videos
Mm-hmm.
while I was at work, so I'm just following along with you guys right now.
No worries. I mean, I guess this is just like a little bit of a sidebar, but um, I would say that uh, to Brad as a response to that, I think that like when I read that, I understood where he was coming from, right? Because none of those things that you said or in the story are wrong. Uh, like I said again, like I think that if you're arguing amongst the three, democracy, autonomy, whatever you want to call it, like it's the biggest leap of faith, right? Um, there are a lot of question marks. There's a lot of downsides, but I think that the reason that like it I don't know how to make it make sense. Like it almost just is what it is because people have faith in it. Like it's not anything that you can set in stone. So like answering this question was hard, I thought. For autonomy, like I don't know how you can lay it out on paper and make it sound better, you know?
Yeah, there's multiple answers to the question.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's it, guys. I think we got her.
All
Hopefully.
right.